Welcome to the Multiverse of Business podcast. I'm Chuck.
I'm Jack.
Today's episode name will be Four Paths to Make Money: the side hustler, the founder, the employee, and the investor. We're really going to talk about all four of those paths to kind of come to some money and how to make money doing any of them. Really, we're going to focus mainly on the side hustler, founder, or starting up a business, and an employee. Obviously, the investing part we'll talk about, but we're not going to give any investment advice on any of these. And any performance we talked about on any of these are obviously the performance of the companies we understand or we've researched, and not indicative to any performance of anybody who's listening. But obviously, it just shows the potential. So kicking off the first one, we'll go into the side hustler. Jack, who do you think is the side hustler? Who do you think is for? Talk about that a little bit.
I think the side hustler and the founder, there's a fine line between the two. But a side hustler is somebody who has something small, trying to pick up a little bit of extra cash, not really a huge investment or going to be a huge thing in a market somewhere. This is something where I need some extra cash. Let me go find something to do. I would think a side hustler, something small, a couple vending machines, gumball machines, something. The idea that we had last week where it was the reselling idea, stuff like that. That's a side hustler.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I think for a side hustler, those are all great things. I think the ideal person for a side hustle is pretty much everybody, right? In my mind, everybody should have some side hustle going on. I mean, if you're an employee, you should probably have a side hustle, bring in extra money. If you're if you're a business owner, perfect thing to have a side hustle. If you want, if you're not, fully engaged in your business because it's running by itself. If it is, if you're full time in the business and it's not running by itself, then maybe not a side hustle because you're going to be the founder that we're going to talk about a little later. I think that most of us start out as the side hustler and then either keep it there or turn it into the founder, right? It's kind of how that progression goes in my mind. I agree. I think the side hustler is the kind of the start, the minimal investment opportunity, you'll call it, to get into something. It's kind of the test of where do you put your time, effort, and what works. And you probably have a lot of what we would call side hustles before you pick one that you become the founder or go into the full-blown entrepreneur.
I also think it's one of those things where you learn more lessons as a side hustler. And if you're a side hustler and an employee, right? There are so many things you can learn from doing your side hustle stuff that you can apply in your employee life and be a better employee, because you can see the vision of something if it's yours. So you can recognize the vision of someone else's as their employee. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's kind of the reason why I've always thought I've been a great employee, but a bad employee at the same time, right? So because we've gone through so many businesses, and I've been an employee for the last 30 years. Wow, no, 20 years. 20 years. That was way too old.
I was saying, man, you got child labor laws.
I know, exactly. I mean, I've gotten to see the big picture on businesses that I've either not owned or have not worked in, because I've also seen how other side hustles and other businesses that I have worked with are ran and how they function. So I get that 40,000 foot view where most employees only get a 10,000 foot view. And so they're very siloed or myopic view of what the company is doing or what their role in the company is. And I've always been the person who wanted to know start to finish the whole company, or how it makes money, or what are they doing in marketing, or what are they doing in sales or supply chain. So I've always been kind of a great employee because I want to learn a lot about the business, but a really bad employee sometimes because I'm not the person that's just going to be content on learning my little part and repeating it day in and day out, day in and day out.
I don't think that makes you a bad employee. I think that is I personally think that's a good employee, and I'll tell you why. And there's a place for both of these styles. You could be a good employee and be perfectly content in what you're doing and happy with your job. You are fulfilled in your job. You know your role. You go there. You do it to the best of your ability. But you have no desire, or you don't have the ambition, or whatever the case may be. You don't want to step out of that role. Where I think you want to see how everything works. We both are kind of this way. We want to see how everything works. We want to see every aspect of it. And if there is a run on that ladder ahead of us, you and I are reaching for the next one and climbing. And there's a place for both types of employees. If you're either one of those, there's a place for you in a business. You just got to figure out which one you are.
Yeah, 100%. So back to, the side hustler, the way I always like to talk to my friends and people that are interested in different side hustles is I started with really, really basic things like, what do you like to do? What do you have skills in? What means do you have? But it really comes down to two things. I've kind of broken it down to, at least, we'll call it two things. One is, what's your unfair advantage? If you remember back to your high school days and your economics class, every country has an unfair advantage. Mr. Booth, if you're still with us, God bless you, because I hear your voice in the back of my head. But he always talked about what country has an unfair advantage over other countries for different things. Like the U.S. had a lot of unfair advantages with raw materials and just, inventors and things like that. A lot more freedoms to do things, to test things, where other countries had, unfair advantages and other resources. I mean, it's like, are you landlocked? Do you have a lot of minerals? Do you blah blah blah? You can go all day with all the unfair advantages. But what do you have as an unfair advantage? And a lot of people, I find, look at this the wrong way. A lot of them are like, well, I don't do anything better, or I don't have anything different than anyone else, and I'm not that special snowflake that everyone thinks that they are sometimes. And it's funny because you think you're special until somebody asks you, what do you do better than anyone else, and then you can't name nothing. It's like, you're not both. You're one or the other. So realistically, I really think that everyone is, we'll say, a special snowflake. We're all very unique. We all have abilities that other people don't. We all have past experiences that we can relate to or understand something better than someone else. And so that's my first thing, is the unfair advantage. Like my unfair advantage is I've worked in supply chain my whole life. So I understand logistics probably better than 99% of people in the world. Or I know how to source products. I know how to bring products to market. I know, consumers because I've worked in retail. That's just some of them. I've done stuff in marketing. I literally was, like you said, child labor. I worked in a wood shop class that we used to sell stuff out the back through one of our teachers for like 3 years. I think you know who we're talking about
Mr.
here.
Colson.
Yeah.
He's not with us anymore.
So we can say this now, and that you don't have to worry about anything legal happening, right? But so we all have some unfair advantages, and it's what unfair advantage do you have that you can exploit that leads you to making money? Which brings me to my next part of my two-step process, right? Is there's a Japanese term, it's called ikigai, and it's basically 4 questions. Okay, it's what do you love, what are you good at, what does the world need, and what can you get paid to do? Okay. I find that if you take those 4 questions and answer them honestly, and incorporate your unfair advantage, you'll probably be led to a side hustle or some skills that you have that you can leverage into a side hustle.
Okay. Well, you want to break that down right quick? What's the first question again?
So the first one is, what do you love?
What do you love? Let's see. Yeah,
exactly. Most people, it's a hobby. It's entertainment of some sort. It could be they have a love of learning. They have a love of teaching. It could be a skill. Okay. Most people, and I like to say that skills aren't something you really love most of the time. You love the skills because you're really good at them. But any skill out there, besides having to be born with a talent or like an innate ability to be able to have a bigger frame to lift weights or something, you can learn to love a skill or be great at a skill and love it because you're great at it. Like sales, you can be taught sales. There's going to be people who are naturally gifted at it. But if you want to learn sales, and that could be something you love to do, even though you aren't good at it, you could get better and actually be great at it, and that's something you love to do. So I don't like to say the skills. I like to say more of like an action or something else around it. But skills can lead to that. I think. So
let's say I love to help people.
Okay,
that you know me. I love helping people.
Yeah, perfect. So you love to help people. So the next question is, what are you good at helping people do?
I think you're asking the wrong question. So ask the actual question. What's the actual question?
What you're good at? What are you good at?
What am I good at? I am good at finding a way to connect with people. I am good at starting and building relationships.
So does the world need that?
Oh, 100% the world needs it.
Okay, so the world
if we can't have a way to connect and make that dialogue and build a relationship, everything falls apart.
Okay, so essentially with this, what you told me is that you love helping people. You're great at building relationships, and we know the world needs it, and we know the world will pay for it. So we should create something as a side hustle for you. And this is my breakdown. It's the way I would guide you to first start is, how do you create a side hustle that helps people build relationships and get paid for it? First thing that comes to mind is, and this actually goes to a whole nother like macro trend that I have listed on my like top tier of things you could do for the next 30 years is you just go IRL again. Start hosting events. If you hosted networking events, like you might not make money like in the very first one, but after you get good at hosting networking events, you can get paid for that. And that's a side hustle, right?
That's a really good idea.
A couple hours a week in whatever genre that you want to. Maybe for you, maybe it's a sales, maybe it's in construction, maybe it's whatever. But like mine. Maybe if that was mine, maybe I would host networking events in kayak fishing because I kayak fish, and I could start getting people to build relationships, and from there, you don't know what's going to come from that, right? You don't know what people will pay for that. I mean, we have
3D printing. Got the 3D printer behind me. I got the collectibles over here. I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of ways to take that idea and run it down 1,000 different avenues.
100%. And the amount of money you're thinking that you need to make for a side hustle is minimal, right? At the end of the day, you're not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're talking about something that you might spend 4 or 5 hours a week and might be able to make, $400 or $500 a week.
Yeah, a couple extra $100 a month or $1,000 a month. That's a great side hustle.
Yeah, think about that. If you made an extra $1,000 a month, I mean, that's half your mortgage payment. That's a whole car payment, maybe even insurance, depending on what kind of car you drive. I mean, that's a lot for somebody who just is putting in 4 or 5 hours, let's say a week. I mean, it's 20 hours a month for $1,000. That's pretty good. That's $50 an hour. I mean, it's not something, 6 figures if you break it down to a full year for 2,000 hours. So I feel like that's a really good kind of way to do it. So those are the two things I like to start with when I'm talking about a side hustle, right? I think that's the quickest way to look at it, and probably some of the fastest way to making money. The breakdown for businesses is 70-30. 70% is service-based businesses and 30% is actually product-based businesses. So when you're looking at your side hustle, it's probably going to be a service-based business for the majority of the time.
Right.
It doesn't have to be, like you said, 3D printing. If you like to design and print things because you're an engineer or something, then maybe that's what you do as your side hustle.
Or your side hustle doesn't even have to be the actual print. It's just you make the STL file for somebody. That's a great side hustle. If you're an engineer and you got some time on the side and somebody's like, hey, I need a bottle opener that's also a can opener, and I'm really good, and you're really good at figuring stuff out, and you go to your CAD program or whatever you're doing to design, and you can put that together. You got 2 bottle openers and you got a little can pop here. You just created something for somebody to go off and print, and you can sell your file to them.
Yeah, and what's great about that is the digital file, right? Because then once you sell them once, you sell it 1,000 times, and you could just have it out there. I mean, even with the files like that, there are certain 3D printing companies that allow you to store your files, and every time somebody prints it, you get paid a certain part of their weekly or monthly allowance, which is really easy. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. What funds should we be looking for here? Like, how much startup capital does someone need to do a side hustle? I mean, I'm thinking
it's minimal. I think side hustle should be minimal investment.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably sub $1,000. I mean, that's probably on the high end, but a 3D printer, a few $100, some plastic to go with it, filament, a few, $20-$30. I think a lot of it should be very minimal also, at least when you first get started, on software. Unless you really need a certain software, find a free version. Find a way that you don't need
a pay-as-you-use version.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. You don't need a full-blown website. You need a YouTube page that you can upload to, or a Facebook page, or Instagram, or wherever that community that you're helping or solving a problem for or trying to sell to, wherever they exist that has like free traffic. That's where you should be, right? No questions asked. I mean, like TikTok. TikTok is like the easiest free platform to sell something on now. I mean, it's going crazy with TikTok shops and things like that. So I find that the smaller your hustle is, or the amount of money you want to make, the easier it is to do free, in my mind. And so, I know we talked about a little bit about the 3D printing side hustle or doing some events. One of the ones that I had on my list is like rentals. So there's a lot of different things that people rent. They rent chairs, tables,
massive.
Chairs, tables, inflatables, photo booths. You get a lot of wedding stuff that gets rented. I mean, like wedding arches, some people rent those. You have like charcuterie tables, kind of like a little booth. I mean, all sorts of stuff. I mean, you can
anything that's catering equipment. That's going to be big for you.
There's a big company down in Charleston/Myrtle Beach area that does, I think it was like $20 million a year in renting kitchen equipment to caterers.
Yep.
And he started because he owned a restaurant and needed an extra, I think it was a fryer or something, and couldn't get one. So he went and bought 3 of them and started renting them out. And then he closed down the restaurant and started the other thing.
Nice.
And so anything that you can rent to somebody is easy, right? Because it's like you post it on Facebook Marketplace, you post it on Craigslist, you post it wherever you can for free. When someone needs it, you drive it out to them, or depending on what it is, they pick it up, right? You work on whatever the price is, you work on that. It returns, you might have to clean it. Maybe you have to do a little repairs depending on what it is. Maybe the arch, something came unzipped, undone, whatever it is, and then you're done. So you're talking minimal hours. You can do it during your regular job. It takes really no skill beside, like, if you have to build something. But I mean, if you want to do a wedding arch, you basically just go to YouTube, type in wedding arch, how to create wedding arches, blah, blah, blah. Or what's the most common theme of a wedding arch, and you build it and you let it go. I mean, I've heard of this person that was renting them on Facebook Marketplace for like $200-$300 for the weekend. Well, they were building them out of like, not rebar, but it was kind of like, those, the stakes that you put in the ground for the bird feeders.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the hook. It's kind of like the same metal. They were just bending the metal in a half circle, and then just decorating it, putting all the decorations on it, and basically they just load it in the back of the truck and it goes. I mean, we're talking about something somebody stands under for about 45 minutes, gets married, and then it just sits there for the rest of the time. And he's getting $250 for it for the weekend or for the day.
And for anyone who's listening, you say, well, Chuck, Jack, you guys had a few ideas there. You threw them out. It doesn't really sound like it's something that interests me. Those 4 questions that Chuck asked me, if you take those 4 questions and you answer them in Chat GPT or Gemini or whatever AI you're looking at, you answer those questions and you ask it based off of my answers, what are some good side hustles? Chat GPT, Gemini, all these guys, they're going to give you a list of side hustles that match those answers. And you can look through that and you can be like, I like this idea, or I don't like this idea, or that idea costs too much. And you can sift through it and find what you're looking for that you want to start off on the side with. There are ways. Don't let your indecision be a roadblock or your hesitation be a roadblock. There are tools at our disposal that you can figure out what you want to do and how you want to do it if you choose to act on your desire to do something.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that's a great tool. And I think that it's not just a great tool to figure out what you want to do, but it's a great tool to figure out how to execute. I mean, it'll tell you some ways and give you some ideas. And I think that's the key. You don't want to let AI do all the thinking for you, but you want to use it as more of a thought partner, right? You want to be able to tell it something and let it ask you questions and then give you ideas and to move forward on that. So we kind of talked about, the funding, kind of how to launch, for something like the wedding rentals. You start a YouTube page and you can just reach out to wedding planners. Go on Google, type in wedding planner, your town, near me, whatever you want to do. They'll pop up, I promise you. They're all over the place. And just call them, say, hey, look, I have wedding arches. I have charcuterie tables. I have an old Volkswagen Beetle that I put cakes in the back and I can deliver. Like whatever you want and that whatever you're good with. And just let them know and you could get that delivered. I think that's easy, right? Because it's just picking up the phone and talking to people. Or you can send an email.
Yeah. I also think that we skipped something about the side hustler. Side hustler is a very small operation, and I mean that by manpower. You're talking 1 to maybe a handful of close friends or close acquaintances that you want to do something with on the side. Where I think that's where I'm not to jump ahead or move around, Chuck. I'm sorry, but side hustler. That when I say that kind of defines that side hustler side. Where founder, you're looking to build or make something, but also you're going to have an employee base. You are going to have people working with and for you in a organization style type business, where side hustle, very small. It's not organized the same way a founder company would be.
Yeah. So great transition there. So let's go into, startup, founder, entrepreneur. In my mind, that looks like somebody who's taken a side hustle to a point where it's now replacing probably whatever their other income source is, or it's stretching them so thin that they don't have enough time to do their current employment and the side hustle, right?
Now you're hiring people.
Exactly. Either you're hiring people or you're going to have to make a decision. I'm going to quit this one to go to this other one, which if I had to guess for most people is going to be when your side hustle starts taking up 20 plus hours of your day. And the reason I say that is that once you're starting, or not of your day, sorry, of your week. The reason I say that is because 60 hours doesn't leave a whole lot of time for anything else. You're talking, 10-hour days, 8 hours of sleep, a couple hours for driving and eating, and you're pretty much done.
Man, you're pushing it with 8 hours of sleep. I'm lucky to get 4 to 5. So.
Well, I understand, but you get the idea. Like when you're hitting that 20 hours mark, you're going to start coming to a point where it's probably not making you quite as much money as what you are making in your full-time job or whatever else you're working on, right? But it's taking up a lot of time.
And the potential there is there to replace that income.
Yes,
Like you don't want to put so much effort into something and you're going to give up your main job and you're going to end up making less money long term at something you create yourself, and you're going to end up hurting yourself long term.
100%. And so I think that's where you hit that point. And the question that a lot of people have is it worth it? Well, if you can see a version of what you're doing somewhere else that is doing well or is profitable, then A, you have an idea it can be done. B, if you can't, then the question is how do you continue this to make it more profitable? And that's for all assumptions, let's assume that it is able, right? I feel like from a founder stance, you have two founders. You have the solar entrepreneur that literally is wanting to just replace their income that they currently have as an employee. They really don't want any employees, or maybe very few. They want probably, just to be able to write some stuff off, kind of like a contractor, want an income, kind of just keep it small, right? What they can handle maybe with a little help. And then you have the other one that has this idea of going, what we would normally do is look at it and go, this could be scaled up to millions of dollars, hundreds of employees, and I can replace my income and retire in 10 years, whatever. And so those are the kind of the two paths for me. And I think that we should talk about which is right for which type of person. Because I think there's a idea that one is better than the other. I don't think that's true. I think that it's only true from a perspective of what you're trying to do in life. And so I'll start with the solar entrepreneur. So I find that the solar entrepreneur one is more in line with people who want a lot more of like a lifestyle that they're trying to hit. They generally aren't looking for, they always say they're looking for freedom most of the time, but they're not going to get freedom in the sense that they're going to have less time working. Generally, you're going to have just as much, if not probably more.
Probably more.
The difference is you have the time freedom of when you're working sometimes, depending on what you're going from side hustle to business in, right? I mean, if you need to have time off to go to your daughter's volleyball game or your son's baseball game or a swim meet for the kids,
you have more autonomy.
Yeah. In most side hustle / business that transition, you can do that. Where you might not be able to do that when you're running, a 5-employee business, $750,000 in revenue, because you're managing 5 people, you're having to run the books, you're doing these other things. Just most of the time at that stage, you've got a lot more time invested. You could actually leave, but
the more hats you have to wear in your company, the less time you have to do anything else.
Well, that, and you have 5-6 people's other families who are depending on you, that they want to go to their kids' games and they want to do these things. So if everyone's going to the games and doing things, no one has, the freedom. So I find that's kind of in my mind where it splits, right? Is that you, especially at least in the first several years, you don't have that freedom of time. I feel like now if you want to grow and you're willing to be the leader, you're willing to be the manager as a small business owner, I would probably say 3 to 5 years, you start getting some of that time back if you're growing and delegating and getting things in position correctly. But it's a struggle in the beginning. So if you don't want to manage people, you're the solo entrepreneur. If you don't want to invest, giving up a little bit more of that freedom up front, you're probably going to be a solo entrepreneur. I also think a solo entrepreneur is good for people who are more of a crafts person. And I don't mean that as like you're doing crafts like art class in high school, but you care more about the craft than you do running a business.
Okay.
If you are the person who makes leather wallets,
you care more about making the leather wallet than you do
running the business.
Yep.
Because that's your art. That is your passion. That is the thing you want to do. Could you make plenty of money that you don't have to work for anybody else? Yes, 100%. But in order for that business to grow, you either got to determine that you are no longer the art part of it and you're the business side of it, or you have to figure out how can I get this company to be led by somebody else while I still keep the craft part of it. And I think that's very difficult to do, especially in the early stages, to grow it where it's big enough to get someone to come on board without giving up a ton.
I keep hearing you bang the table.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. Talking with my hands and like doing things. I was like, what are we doing? Playing paper, rock, scissors?
Oh, man.
Come on.
So
what do you think?
I completely agree with you. So if I'm correct, I'm listening to a book right now. It's Good to Great.
Mm.
And it talks about the different levels of management. And I think what you're talking about is kind of low level leadership. That's a level 1, 2, 3 leader, somewhere in that range, where when you get to 4, you're kind of a good operating leader within your company, good operating manager. And level 5, you have a way to set your ego aside as a leader in the company and do what's right for the business to make sure the business continues to grow. So I think you're talking about with that one there, more of that level 1, 2, 3 leader in an organization.
Yeah, 100%. So Jack, what business ideas do you have for somebody who wants to be a founder or a small business owner?
Why would you put that on me?
Pick
Go
one.
be Elon Musk. Go create the Optimus autonomous robot or a freaking spaceship. Like, and that's mega scale. I'm joking, but I mean, say you want to start selling cars and you want to own your own car dealership. Well, that requires investment and time, and that requires people. You're going to be running it. You have people who are going to be your salespeople. You got people who are going to work on cars. Do you even work on cars? You got people who are going to clean your cars for you to make sure everything looks nice so it does sell well. I think that is a great starting point for a founder organization, is something on that scale.
Gotcha. I agree. I think some of the other good ones would be marketing agency. Everyone's done an agency, right? And the problem is with agencies is that a lot of them aren't very good and a lot of them are great. And it's kind of, you got to go through. And it's more of a side hustle.
I was about to say,
mentality.
I would say a marketing agency, at least at the starting point, is just a side hustle.
True, because it's just you. But they scale very
easily. It has the potential to scale to a yes, I agree.
They scale with the talent, and they can scale with software. I find those are the two things that make them scale. And so it's very easy to take that from a side hustle to something that makes a lot more money. And I think that with AI, you could do it a lot faster, better, get a delivery, and you could charge way more.
I think you're using the wrong word when you say easy. Simple. It's simpler to take it, to scale it from side hustle to something. It is not easy. There is nothing easy about doing business ever.
No. I would like to think that if business gets easy for you, it's because you've been doing the same thing that you've known is successful over and over and over and over again, that you have become that next level.
We're gonna argue on this. I have a feeling. I don't agree with you on that. I think that if it becomes easy for you, it means you're caught in a rut and you lost the vision to grow.
Well, it depends on what your goals were to start with.
But goals always move. I say that because, well, I think this might be my own bias too. This is going to be my own bias. I know it is, because I will set a goal, and if I get close to that goal or I achieve that goal, I push that goal out a little further. I reach it, and then I accidentally push it, and I go to reach it again, and then I'm pushing it again, or I kick it away from me, and now I have to go running down the road to grab it. I don't want it to ever get easy. Simple, 100%. If I can do something simple to help myself grow, I'm going to do that. That's why I use AI in my daily life. I allow AI to take some things off of my plate. I put it on there and I let it handle it while I go focus on a couple of other things. And then I come back to it and say, thank you, AI. Thanks for doing that for me. Now I can go do this with the information that you gave me. But if I achieve a goal and then I'm just like, well, what do I do next? That's why I keep pushing it away from me. It's got to go away. It's got to be something I can never hold on to longer than a second. Otherwise, the motivation might leave me.
So that's interesting. I think that is a bias, right? Because if your goal, let's say your goal was to start a business and make $1 million, would you say that you didn't achieve your goal once you hit that $1 million?
I would move the goalpost once I hit. I would say, yes, we did it. Now to $2 million.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
That's my thing.
But at each point, it would be easy to maintain, is what I'm saying. To grow even more might not be easy.
It would be simple to maintain. It still won't be easy to maintain.
It would be easy.
You got to understand attrition in the market. You got to understand whatever it is you're doing. Price of goods may go up. Price of services may go, whatever the case may be. There's going to be fluctuation. It's never going to be
as hard as it took to build it. To maintain, it's like working out. I can work out 8 days a week to build muscle, but to keep it, I got to work out like 1 day a week.
You own a house. You own a house.
I don't own a house.
Okay, you live in a house.
There you go.
Okay, that house was built in probably 6 to 8 months.
Okay. I mean,
you
I live in a house that's
continuously,
like built in the 60s. It's probably
you can
probably
might
built
have taken
better.
shorter. Yeah. You continuously have to pay and invest in that house to keep that house up.
True.
It's not
True.
easy to do that.
But it's
Simple.
easier. It's easier to maintain this house than it was to build it.
It depends on what breaks. It depends on what you're maintaining. It depends on the changes in the house in order to maintain. Then it depends on the laws. When something gets obsolete and now you have to go through and replace all the cast iron or copper piping with PVC. That's expensive. That's hard. That's an investment. And that's an investment just to maintain what you currently have. I'm saying it's simple, not easy. And that's ever. That's all the time, 100% of the time. Simple, not easy.
I don't know.
I'll fight you on this all day. I'll fight you all day on it.
We'll find out one day when our lives get easy, I guess.
Yeah. Never will it be easy.
We'll see. All right. So moving on. Let's talk about being an employee. That's going to be a tough one.
Okay. It depends on what road you go down. Okay.
Well, I'm going to let you start off this time. I started off the last one. I want your opinion on this one.
So we're talking about ways to make money as an employee, right?
Yeah. So if you're an employee, who's good? Who's a good employee compared to doing anything else? I think there's a set type of person that's a great employee. And I also think
hold on, wait a second. You just did something. I'm gonna call you out on it. You went from good employee to great employee, and there's a huge difference between a good employee and a great employee.
Yes, but there's a certain personality type in my mind, at least.
Good employees aren't going to make money.
That should be an employee. What person should be an employee, and how are we going to help them maximize their life as an employee if that's what they want?
Good is the enemy of great. If you think of yourself as good, you've given up. You need to think of yourself as achieving greatness. And if you go out every day to achieve greatness, you have a chance of being profitable within a business and moving up, escalating, elevating yourself and rising to a rank that will allow you to make money.
So who's that for, though? Tell me, when you think of this, who do you see? Just picture.
It's got to be people who are ambitious enough to continue to learn. You have to have a desire to learn within your company. If you do not have that desire, you become complacent, and complacency takes greatness away. It does not mean you have to move up, but you do have to have the ability to learn the next step. And if you lose that, it takes you from great to good. And that makes it a problem for you to make money within a company. You're not going to get the maximized raises if you're a merit-based raise company. You're not going to get the promotions that you think you deserve because you've allowed someone to outshine you in the company. You have to be willing to outshine everyone around you and be that light, but you also have to be willing to be a leader in your company and show people how to do the same thing you're doing if you choose to do that.
I can see that. I'm not going to argue with a whole lot there. The way I approach it was slightly different. So I think everyone should start out as an employee, no matter what you do. I think that when you can get paid to learn skills on other people's dime, you are doing yourself a disservice by not taking advantage of it. You should look at it that way. Is what skill am I learning when I take this job? And your answer should be, if I've learned that skill, I need to move on. Either I need to be a different position, I need to move a different company, I need to do something where I'm learning skills. And I would say that from probably like teenage years to your late 20s, early 30s, that should be your mentality. And if you're not learning something as an employee, you should be moving. And you should not worry about the money so much. Don't get me wrong, you need money just to survive. No one's telling you to like live on the streets and still go to work every day. But you should be learning the skills, because if you can get paid to learn marketing, sales, supply chain, any skill that is worth something, it makes all the sense to do it and get paid to do it before you go and try to do it on your own.
I don't know if that is a defining factor of an employee. Good, great, bad, indifferent. And here's the reason why. When you say that, if you take the word employee out of it, you leave the word employee out of it, the phrase you just said fits everything that's on that board behind your head. Well, every one of those factors have to go out with the mindset that I need to learn a new skill, or I need to be learning something daily.
True. True, but the idea
it's not just the employee.
The idea that the employee can do it and not have to pay to learn it is the key. Instead, if you have no, Jack, if I'm
a side hustler doesn't have to pay to learn a skill.
Yeah, he does.
No, he doesn't. I could sit here and type something up right now and find out how to do a skill.
I
can sit here and watch YouTube and learn how to do a skill right now.
But not every
I can learn to be an electrician by watching YouTube if I wanted to. I might kill myself out in the field.
Exactly.
But I can learn it and it's free.
But let's be real. If you went and tried to learn to be an electrician on YouTube tomorrow, you're going to kill yourself. We just agreed to that. But if you got paid to go learn to be an electrician by following somebody who already knows what they're doing, you're going to be a lot less time spent learning it. B, you're going to be already making money that you're eventually going to be able to use to start the business of being an electrician later on. And C, you're going to know things that you're not going to see on YouTube, because we all know you can't learn everything on YouTube. You can learn 99% of things, but there is something you're not going to learn that old timer that's going to be teaching you is going to teach you, and it's going to be better.
I am what is it? I am A+ certified. Microsoft I'm A+ certified for computers. Okay. I took a class for that. I paid to take a class for that.
Okay. Yeah.
I went to My Computer Career for that.
Mm-hmm.
Not a plug, by the way. Not making a dime off of those guys. Anyway, I could go to Google right now and take a class for free to learn the same skill that I learned in that class and do the same thing.
Okay.
And still pass the test and get the certification.
So we both,
because at the end of the day, the certification is all that matters.
So we both agree that you paid for something that you shouldn't have.
At my computer career, yes, I paid for something that I shouldn't have.
But if somebody at your company told you to take that and was willing to pay for you to do it, then you would have been better off.
Okay. Or I could have done it for free. Well, they're not paying me to do it. They're paying for me to do it.
If they're paying for you to do it and to do it at work, and they're paying you for your time at work, it's way better off than what you did, which is you paid to get it.
But I'm not doing it at work. They're paying me for my time at work that I would already be putting in if I would have just went to Google and did it for free too.
So I agree. But if your company came to you and said, Jack, I want you to learn A+, C+, whatever, I'm still unclear what it is.
There's a C++, there's an A+. A+ is like the
But if your work can say, Jack, we think you need this, you can get it for free on Google for the next 8 hours of your day. Go learn it, and I'm going to pay you. You just got paid to learn a skill by your company, and that's what I'm saying.
But the company isn't going to pay you to learn that unless it's a computer style company.
Exactly. Any company you get hired at is going to want you to learn skills. They're going to pay you your hourly wage while you're learning on the clock. Get paid on the clock. Don't make me pound on the table no more. Get paid on the clock to learn a skill. Why not? It's the best thing you can do when you're young is to get paid hourly rates to learn something from somebody at work that you can translate to something else. And if you're
I'm not going to disagree with you on the fact that there are some companies that will do that. I am going to say there are companies that don't, and it's not the only form of doing what we're talking about.
I agree.
You could do it for free and go do it on your phone. Go do it on your own and learn a skill.
Yeah, you're right. You could, but why would you? Why would you take the time to do it and not get paid for it? If I want to go learn sales, I want to find a company who will pay me to go out and sell.
I am in sales. I am in sales, and I work for a company that pays me how to sell. It's also a company that has given me tools to go do. The company didn't do this. Someone in my company has done this for me. Has given me tools to go out and learn on my own. That's why I'm reading a bunch of these books. It's because it's my time on my own. I'm not doing that on company dime. There are things that you're going to have to do that aren't on company dime to make yourself grow.
I agree. But if you can grow at work and get paid to do it, that's what you should do.
You're not going to do that anymore. Nobody's going to pay you to do that anymore. We don't live in that world anymore.
I think we are. What?
Okay. Without giving too much away, in your company, what would they pay you to go and do right now to learn? They're going to pay. And I don't mean that you get a chance to do something on your own while you're doing your job at the same time that they're not aware of. I mean, they're paying you literally to sit at your computer and learn this right now. Chuck, here's $40 for the time you're about to spend. Watch this video. Do this right now. There you go.
So at my work, we have a learning platform that if I wanted to go learn how to build a Power BI dashboard,
you could do that.
I could go do
100%.
Yep.
That is not the type of skill I'm talking about.
On company time.
We even pay out bonuses based off of that, based off of your learning time spent. Not the type of skill base that I'm talking about.
Yeah, if I want to go do that, I could go do. If I want to go learn I mean, we did a training that was taught to us where they sat down for an hour and 45 minutes to teach us how to use ChatGPT. I already knew how to use it, but there was a group of 150 of us, let's say, and 99% of them didn't. And so they got paid for an hour and 45 minutes of their time to learn ChatGPT because someone sat up front on like a projector and showed them how to use ChatGPT. That's what I'm saying. Your company's not like this.
No, my company does do that. My company does do that. They'll teach you about a product through a learning, or they'll teach you about new software that we're using. That's not the type of skill base I'm talking about. I think you and I are talking about different things, and now I see where you're going with it. I still don't agree with you 100%. Not going to.
I think
that might be selfish. That might be selfish of me. I'm not going to agree with you 100% on this. There are certain skills that you're not going to get paid to learn at work. Sorry.
I can agree there are certain ones, but there are plenty that you will get paid to learn, and you should get paid to learn them.
I'm done with employees.
Okay.
Move on.
No. I'm not done with employees yet. And so I think that employees really have to understand, like you said, though, is that if they're not learning and they're not learning something, they shouldn't be in that position no longer. Because if you're not learning, why are you there? You're just there to get paid. Well, if you're an employee that just wants to get paid, there's only a matter of time before, even if you were the best employee, you start becoming the worst employee. Believe me, I've done it plenty of times.
I think there's a bridge to that. I think there's a bridge to that right quick. I think you learn your position and you learn to do it very well. You become able to teach that position, and then you're able to move up. If you're able to teach what you do to somebody, that proves 100% aptitude, and then it gives you that opportunity to move to the next level. If you learn everything and you're not able to teach somebody, I'm not 100% certain that you actually know what you're talking about or what you're doing on a daily basis.
And see, I think that's the key. I'm not going to say they don't know what they're doing, but you can only move laterally so much to progress in life. If you can't train people, you're not going to become the basic leader, let alone any other leader in the company. You're going to get stuck at a high-level analyst or individual contributor position. So my thing is that you should move laterally to learn a lot about the company as much as you can. But be proficient in the jobs before you leave them. You don't want to be in 6 months and not know the job and try to move. It's just not going to look good. But once you know enough that you can complete 99% of that job or even high 90s efficiently, and you could actually train someone to do that, move it laterally, move up vertically, do something. Because if you're not moving in a company, you're going to get stale. I mean, it's just how it happens. People who don't move people who stay in the same job or even the same company end up making like 50% less over their lifetime because they're not moving. So I think that if you're an employee and you like what you do, hopefully you like what you do and the people you do it with, because both are very important. I've found in my career that you need to be moving. When I first started in my career, it was every 2 years I was either moving laterally, vertically, or I was leaving the company because I knew that A, I'd make less money, but B, I was learning less skills the longer I stayed in the position. Because most positions, I feel like, unless they take some real specialty skills, you don't need 6 months, maybe 6 months to a year to like be proficient. You don't need 2 to 3 years to be proficient at most jobs nowadays.
I'm gonna buy you a foam desk mat to soften the blows on your desk because you're killing that desk today, buddy.
I'm sorry. I'll move my mic up a little bit. But yeah, so that's my take on an employee. I mean, if you're happy with what you do, you enjoy it, you are, you don't like risk, then you probably should be an employee with a side hustle. Or you should be a consultant or something on those lines. I mean, that would be my recommendation. I wouldn't recommend you being an employee if you didn't like your job, you don't like what you're doing, and you think you would enjoy being on your own or, being in charge of things. If you're not a leader, if you're truly not a leader, you should be an employee. 100%, unless you want to be a solo founder where you're doing a lifestyle type business. I mean, it's just what it is. If you can't lead people, you can't, train people, you can't have people working for you. And that means you're going to be limited to your growth. Don't get me wrong, with AI and other things, if you're a tech person, yeah, you could probably make millions of dollars being an individual person. But be an employee, be a freelancer, consultant type thing if you don't ever want to be a leader, because it's just so hard to run a business without being a leader of some sort.
I agree.
So, and if you're going to be an employee, here's my advice to what companies go work for. Find companies that are startup companies that pay higher salaries, but give you great stock options, because the stock options will be well worth more than any salary you're going to get if the company blows up.
Here's another piece of advice when you're looking for in a company as an employee. And I've learned this recently. This was a lesson that was taught to me yesterday, or something that was pointed out to me yesterday. If you had 12 people lined up in front of you and you didn't know who the president and CEO of your company was, would you be able to point them out based off of their actions?
Ooh, I mean, that's first of all, that's a great one. Second of all, I don't think the average person sees the CEO of their company enough at all.
No, they don't. But if you were to meet that person in real life, would you be able to point them out and say they act more important than everybody else? They have an air about them where they stand above everybody else. And this, I'm going to give an anecdotal story. Can I do that? Can I tell a story real quick?
Yeah. We got some time. I mean, we got like 4 minutes before we hit the hour, so we're going to go a little long today.
We're going to go a little long today. So I was in some training this past week. Again, I will never tell you what company I work for. I love the company I work for. I love what I do. I do not want them to be connected to this in any way, shape, or form. Because if I ever say anything or do anything, I don't want the company to have any backlash. I'm sitting at a table for dinner, and we're at a putt-putt place, right? Indoor putt-putt place. And we're sitting at the table. It's me. It's one guy at the end of the table. There's an empty seat, and then there's me. Our president and CEO comes over. He sits between us. And we're all chatting. We're talking. We're enjoying dinner. We're talking about life, what everybody's going to do for Christmas. We're all eating. Everybody gets done, right? He gets up. He's going to go walk away. I have to get up to allow him out. And he looks at the table and he looks at everybody. Hey, any of you guys want anything to drink? And everybody tells him no. Like, no, thank you. We're good. And okay. And he walks away. He goes and puts his stuff up. And we all look at each other. And one of the guys looks at me and he goes, what company would you work for where the president and CEO doesn't drink, by the way, would go and ask you want to drink, and was going to go get it for you and bring it back to you? We are I'm not going to say exactly how much money the company makes, but we are $1 billion plus company. We are not small by any means. We are in 30 plus states. Not a small company, over thousands of employees. There were, 16 just in the class, plus the VPs and everybody who were there. Not small. This isn't like it's a small time gig where he knows everybody or everybody can sit in the same car, right? That's not this type of business. If you want something like that, if you want to work for a good company, find a company where you can't recognize between the lineup who the president and CEO of your company is.
Well, we'll move on to the last one, an investor.
Breaking news just popped up.
Uh-oh, what's the breaking news?
This is a secondary disclaimer for everybody listening today. We will not be giving investment advice, just to point that out. We are not going to tell you to buy certain stocks. These are our opinions. And if you act upon anything we say, you do that at your own risk. Okay, Chuck, go ahead.
I appreciate that disclaimer. I'm sure we're going to need it for the rowing fans here that are going to claim that we gave them Bitcoin advice and that they should buy the dip.
Look, I appreciate everybody who went back and watched episode 0. All right. There was, 8 views? Or no, 9 views.
Yeah, 9 views.
9 views on YouTube for episode 0. We posted episode 0 last night.
Yeah.
When this one's being taped or recorded, God, I can't get, I'm old. That's age, man, when you say taped instead of recorded. But so the night before this was done, that's when episode 0 was posted. And between then and now, 9 views. I appreciate everyone who went out there and found us and listened to us. Thank you so much.
All right. Now let's talk about who should be an investor. I think everyone should be an investor as long as you have the following criteria met. A, you are not living paycheck to paycheck. Like, that is my first thing. You cannot be living paycheck to paycheck and think you should invest in anything. You need to make sure that you are financially stable. B, my recommendation is that you have at least 3 months of an emergency fund, preferably 6, but at least 3. After those 2 things, I think that if you have enough financial capital, you should be an investor, not either in really in the market. Right? And when I say the market, I mean like mutual funds, index funds, stock market, those kind of things, before you worry about investing in like buying companies. That's my personal opinion. And I think you need a significant amount of capital to even do that, and that you should just be saving in like high yield index funds and money market, things like that before that. But that's my general opinion on investing.
I hear a little bit of Dave Ramsey in what you just said.
Well,
just a little bit of Dave Ramsey.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I mean, he's not. He's not wrong.
I mean, Dave's been saying the same thing for 43 years.
And he's helped out a ton of people.
Spent less than you make and save. Spent less than you make and save. I've been Ramsey for 43 years, and he's turned it into billions and billions of dollars. So everybody, I'm going to tell you the same thing, is that you should spend less than you make, and you can pay me billions of dollars for the next 43 years. And that's what Dave Ramsey. I mean, he's been on the TV, and people call up and say, "Hey, Jack, I make $92,000, and I have $175,000 in debt, and I still want to buy this, $400,000 Lambo. Do you think it's smart or not?" And
no, it's not smart. I think you need to save the money and pay off the lowest thing that you can pay off first, and then build upon and build upon and build upon. I 100% agree with you. I was just pointing out that there was a little bit of Dave Ramsey in there.
He's not
there was a little bit. The problem I have with him is that not everybody's comfortable living that life, and you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you want to be successful investing.
Yes.
If you're okay with if you're not okay with being uncomfortable, investing is not for you at all.
And in my investment portfolio in my life, what has always worked for me is that if I had money invested, it can't be money that I could ever actually need. It's got to be money that it's after my emergency fund, it's after my expenses. It's not something that if I lost 10% of it, I'm going to cry tomorrow, because I know in 6 months that 10% could come back. So it's like, you have to be so well financially before you start putting in money in the market that you're actually going to need. It makes no sense. It's like survival 101. You need to take care of your basic necessities before you can do anything else. Just put your oxygen mask on first before you reach over and put someone else's. And like, investing is putting someone else's on at the end of the day.
I also think an investor, for the most part, not in everything, but for the most part, you need to have amnesia about putting money in. It needs to be something that if you have the money and you're going to put money in it, don't let it consume your everyday life and you're checking on something. I know people, man, that go and check on crypto and stock market and all this other stuff, the exchanges, and they check on it daily. Quit panicking when stuff goes down and then panic sell, because that's when you lose money. You only lose money in the stock market or in crypto or whatever when you sell. You still technically own the asset, and that asset can go up again. But if you sell for a lower price than what you bought, that's when you lose. Don't panic, and don't sit there and watch it daily, because it's just going to drive you crazy.
Know why you invest and know why you would get out.
Yep. If you don't have a plan for your investment, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You've done it wrong.
If you know why you got in and something changed, then you have new information, then you can know why you got out. But if you got in and everything that told you to get in is still true, and you still believe it's still a good investment, you probably shouldn't get out. It's probably something like the market's making a correction, or some news came out, or some random flash crash, which seems to happen more and more nowadays. But like, there's so many reasons that you shouldn't just get out just because it's dropped.
I agree.
I'm not saying to buy more necessarily. You've got to look at the circumstances. Look at the new information. That's the thing about investing, is that every day there's more information. So you look at it and either use that information or determine that information is not worth it. But I feel like you have to, be financially secure in a bigger way before you invest. Just like you're not going to go buy a company tomorrow with, $10,000, $15,000 probably. And if that's all the money you have and that's what you're buying the company with, well, now that's your whole life. And it's going to have to make way more money, like immediately, that it's just not going to be able to produce. So it's just, as an investor, I think you have to be very careful with what, when, and how you invest.
And I think, so my mind is not that I'm very limited to stocks and cryptos and things like that. There's real estate investment, there's business investments, there's things you can be an angel investor, all that type of stuff. But if you are starting out small time and you have $10-15 at the end of the month that you want to put into something, don't forget that things like Coinbase and Robinhood allow you to buy fractional shares. You don't have to be able to pay for a full share and invest the entire amount. You can buy fractional shares to get yourself started if that's what you have. You're not going to miss that money. Again, it has to be something that if you put it in, you're not going to miss it. But if you have $10 extra every month that you're willing to drop into something, don't forget that you can do that.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for the Multiverse of Business for episode 1. We appreciate everyone listening. Follow us on any of your podcast apps. We are on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
It's been on the banner below my face the entire podcast.
You've probably been looking at that more than his face, to be honest, but that's...
I was. So, again, I'm Jack. That's
Chuck, as it says below my face.
Guys, thank you. We appreciate you. Y'all have a good night.